20scene.com, doing an interview here. Nora Kelly from the band DISHPIT, premier punk band here. You know, like doing lots of awesome stuff in music, and we're gonna find out a little bit about that. And yeah, so this is yeah, like we were just listening to a bit about how DISHPIT started, but what has DISHPIT been up to in the last year? Like, can you? I know it's been a difficult year because of COVID and everything like that, but what's been the haps?
Well, yeah, it's been kind of strange with COVID for sure. Like, you know, at first we were kind of in like disbelief a little bit, and I remember we were still sort of like there were some shows that we were trying to organize up until everything kind of really shut down. You know, like I feel like everybody sort of thought it was just going to be a month or something at first. And then when we realized it was going to be a bit more serious, Jed actually went and worked on a farm for a while. And I think, you know, it's kind of become a bit more about recording and writing since all of this has happened, which is kind of strange because DISHPIT's definitely like really theatrical and we love to play shows. But it's been cool. I have pretty much a whole second album written at this point, so COVID's been good for that, for focusing.
Right, that's cool. You know, DISHPIT has like a really sick, like sort of old school punk sound, like not like a sort of like D beat sound or like any of those, like, you know what I'm saying? It's to me it's like, and I've seen it described this way too, is like sort of like an English sounding punk band, which is really interesting because you know, you did an appearance with the BBC apparently, and
Yeah.
yeah, what was that like?
Well, we kind of had a foot in England right from the beginning because Jack, the original drummer, was on exchange from England and Canada, and so he's this British guy, and Jed and I, when he moved back, Jed and I went over to England to see him and hang out. And while we were there, we played a show, and at the show, this guy signed us to his British record label, it was just like all very happenstance. And then the next year we went back to England, and we've actually never played like a US tour, but we've played a British tour. So it's kind of like a weird like trail of events, you know, for the band.
So like what was it that like, if is there footage out there of you guys on the BBC, or is it just you guys, or it was the radio, I guess, they put you on?
Yeah, it was the radio. I have a picture outside of the radio station.
Sick. I gotta see that. That's a real accomplishment. That you should be proud of yourself. And you know, like I think you know, there's lots of like influences you guys probably have in terms of like, you know, from like grunge and like that sort of a thing. But like I strangely caught some like oi in there, you know, at the shows, particularly because I like the two-step. If anybody knows, you know, like sort of a ska thing is like the two-step dance, and like Dr. Drag from 20 Scene Tube is gonna show you what the two-step is in the next episode. But particularly, like, I have a question, because like I've noticed after a couple of times going to your shows and like listening to your music that there was in the chorus for A Thousand Ways to Die, you know, the part that starts right at the beginning of the song, and sort of, yeah, like it's like a two-step part. It has like a two-step drum beat to it. Was that like done purposefully, or was that like, how did A Thousand Ways to Die sort of happen creatively?
The very, I mean, maybe it has that element because of Jack, because we wrote that song with him, and he is from England, but
Yeah.
it could be that, honestly, but that all just kind of went over my head. A Thousand Ways to Die kind of happened like a lot of our songs happen, which is just that, like, usually I'll write a vocal melody and a acoustic part and like the lyrics, and then bring it to Jed and, well, now Ethan, who's our new drummer, but then at that point, like, it will kind of start to get fucked with a little bit, you know? Like, I remember with 1,000 Ways to Die, Jack was like, we should, like, it was in 4/4, and he was like, we should make the song in 9 and just add one beat to the end of the bar of 8. And we were just like, oh, okay, yeah. And then it just really worked. Like, it's just, the song, I think, is almost like especially interesting because it has that extra beat, and it just always feels like it's kind of like lurching a little bit, you know?
Yeah, that song kicks. I remember when I figured out about the two-step part in that song. It was at the Exclaim 2020 Fest, and the class of 2020, particularly the punk rock show that they did. And this guy saw me two-stepping to the part, and he just like nodded at me and was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Fucking right." But that show was like legendary. Your buddy who jumped into the friggin' like whipped off his DISHPIT shirt, chucked it into the crowd, and jumped in. I ended up at one point I was crawling on his back, trying to climb up him to crowd surf, and eventually I ended up crowd surfing. It was just, but for one moment
so
he was,
amazing.
yeah, for one moment he was just carrying me on his back. I was like, "Oh shit."
Honestly, bless you for crowd surfing. I love to see it.
Yeah, that was a good show for that, like, for sure. I'm gonna go into that on 20 Scene too, but most definitely. But yeah. So January 4th, 2020, Exclaim class of 2020. You played with some hardcore bands, which was really fucking impressive. Like, and I'm not talking like you know how there's that schism between like traditional hardcore bands and like metal hardcore. You played with the metalheads. You know what I'm saying? Like the Piper Marus and the Walmarts and stuff like that, which is really cool. They're sort of like, I mean, I guess Walmart is kind of melodic a little bit compared to Piper Maru, but Piper Maru definitely brought in that metal vibe, and you guys toughed it out with them. How was that?
That was awesome. It feels like so long ago now, but we were really excited to see Walmart, and actually Walmart got us a ride to Toronto because our friend is a huge Walmart fan, and so he was like, oh, I'll drive to Toronto. I'll drive you guys to your show because I want to go to that show so bad because it was going to be so good. So it got us a ride, which was really cool.
Sick. Like, was there like, what was it like packing the Monarch? Was there any like memories to that? Like you know, that sort of thing?
I remember on the poster they spelled their name wrong. They spelled it DISHPIT, which was really funny, and we were like, just like, we like stole one of the posters so that we could keep it as like a memento. It was hilarious to roll up to that, and I don't know. That was Dan Burke's showcase, right?
Sorry.
I think it was.
Who showcase? Dan Burke. I'm not sure.
Burke.
I'm not sure about the promoter for the show. Really.
I think it was because he did one in Montreal as well, and we played that one. But yeah, like Exclaim has, you know, chooses different promoters for each night that they have.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that Dan Burke was the one that was organizing that one, and he's a really nice guy. Like, I know he has like a whole kind of lore behind him, but he's always been really nice to us. And
I had a weird moment. Like, I think I spoke to some of the Exclaim people at the show, maybe even this Dan guy, but like, I remember getting in a conversation about my zines and stuff like that, and I was laughing. I was like, they don't get to swear and Exclaim. They have to edit their shit. They have to, you know what I'm saying? I don't get to swear all I want. And he's like, this is like this drunk guy yelling at me. He's like, you're just a fucking idiot. And I was like, this is one of those, I swear, that night was so fucking like, just random people talking to each other, just like one of those like real like awesome atmospheres.
But you were actually sober, weren't you?
I wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
They were very drunk. They were very. I think it was like 2 people from Exclaim or something. Yeah, and they were having a great time. But yeah, it was a good show. Like, I liked that show.
Me too. It was really fun.
Yeah, and like
I like the Monarch Tavern a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. and like you know, there's been some sick bands who played there and stuff like that, and like yeah, it's definitely one of those like awesome places to go check out music. I think they're still around too. Like I wouldn't be surprised. I didn't check, but I think they're still gonna keep
It's
going.
nice to have a pizza place right across the street.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like tucked away randomly too. It's like not on the main street and stuff. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, like I love the song "Sold Out" for many reasons, particularly the fact that you took my cat and used it as a picture for the promotion. That was
Yeah, thank you again for that. That's one of the
yeah.
best pictures ever.
I know. If anybody out there who doesn't know, my cat, I put her in a DISHPIT t-shirt. She's an all-white cat, and she was wearing the, and she was smiling like crazy. For some reason, she was so happy to be wearing the t-shirt because she loves getting white fur all over black things. So like when I put her in the black DISHPIT t-shirt, she was just like smiling and happy and just like pissing me
Aw.
off and whatever, you know. But it's so great that you used that picture for the sold out album cover or single cover. But do you feel a way about the concept of selling out? Like I know it's a weird thing. Like what are your thoughts on that?
Um, I think people should just do whatever they want, but I did think it was pretty. It's just like a funny kind of character to play, I guess. Like I imagine whenever I'm singing that song that I'm like Paris Hilton or something, you know?
Yeah, yeah, like and that's like that whole thing of selling out and stuff like that. Like you know, I always imagined it as something more like you know a band goes and just like does something completely different or something from what they normally were doing for money. And I was like, that's obviously not what you guys do at Dishpit. But you know, like when I hear the song, I think of like it's almost like it's almost like you know you criticizing like people in the day to day life for like acting like musicians sell out, which I kind of like, you know, like when I listen to it sometimes it's like, and I sold out, you know what I'm saying, or it's sort of talking like, you know, like there is no real selling out. We're all just people, you know what I'm saying, and who cares if
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying, if that's what you decide to do for your living or whatever, you know, that's what I sort of got from the track is like, who's anybody to criticize, you know, me for selling out or anybody for selling out when you're sitting there driving a Honda Civic with a company backpack and you know like working a 9 to 5. But like like is that sort of what the song was about lyrically? And do you write the lyrics, right?
Yeah. Yeah, basically. I mean, I think a lot of the time I like to not like go straight forward with the lyrics. So in the song I'm playing this character who's like really stoked that she just sold out and got the company backpack and everything. But
Ah.
it is exactly what you're saying. Like the point is kind of to just be absurd about it and be playing somebody who's excited about it because ultimately like I do think musicians and artists worry about this lens that they've sold out when really like it's hard enough to be a fucking musician, you know? Like if you need to do something to make a bit of money, I don't think anybody should really judge you for that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
You
definitely.
gotta do what you gotta do, you
Yeah.
know? But I agree, like, it is sad when you love a band and then their sound changes for whatever reason. But sometimes that's not even because they got money. Like, sometimes their vibe is just different than your vibe all of a sudden, and it turns out you actually just like that one album. You don't necessarily like the band, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and that's
Mhm.
like, I know what you're saying too. Is like, who really like is to judge what you know what is good and what isn't. You know, like it's if you like the sound, you like the sound, right? And I really
Totally.
I like the this time the new video that you guys put out. That that was pretty fucking cool in the wilderness. It was this time, right? The
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
was a fucking rad video. Like everybody, yeah. Like check out if you haven't heard any of this, go check out YouTube. Look up Dish Pit. They're on Bandcamp too. All the music we talked about is there. But yeah, like was that like what was how did that come up like that locale like is that near the farm where Jed was working or something?
Yeah, that was a crazy time. That was so fun. We have these two friends who are in another band called Gus Engelhorn. I don't know if you've ever heard of them.
Yeah.
But if I'm plugging them now, if you haven't heard Gus Engelhorn, you should look those guys up. They're literally unbelievable songwriters.
How do you spell
Anyways,
that? Gus?
Gus, like the name, Gus, like, yeah.
Oh.
And then Engelhorn, Englehorn, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, it's a husband and wife duo, and the two of them got together because they're both professional snowboarder people. And Este, who's the drummer in the band, worked for Roxy for a while and was like the videographer for these like snowboarders, basically. And they're just our friends, and I was like, we need to do this new music video. It would be so cool to work with you guys. They play music, like they make all their own music videos, and they're really amazing. So they actually live in Quebec City, which is like 2 hours and 45 minutes away from where we live. So we just got in the car and drove up to their kind of like cabin-y house. And right near their house, they live by this ginormous lake. So the whole video was filmed on this frozen lake in Quebec City. Yeah.
That's cool.
It was so cold. We got so cold.
yeah. Like it's so much going on with your band. You know, like DISHPIT is so fucking awesome. You know, you like. I just ever since literally when I found out about you guys, I was like, these guys are sick, and it's not just because you played with Daniel Romano's Ancient Shapes. That was the first time I saw you guys, and like that was really cool. Like
yeah, that was.
Yeah, that was.
Well, you've also been such a fan, like, but in like a friend way, you know, like whenever we were in Toronto, I feel like you always are out at the show, and it's so cool. The cat picture. It's just like I feel like our paths crossed in a lot of different times in both of our lives, so it's nice to be on here.
Yeah, that's nice of you to say, really. And okay, so I got one last little question for you. Now I always try and throw a real curveball. Okay, so
let's do it.
Okay, should we as people stop fat shaming cats?
I think that if your cat is eating a normal amount and is fat, then yeah. But also, isn't it kind of animal abuse to overfeed your animal? You know, like
I know. This is the whole political thing with fat shaming cats, man. It's a serious. We have to have these difficult conversations, okay, Nora? Because this is how we figure things out. Because the Misty gets fat shamed, and she fluctuates in size. You know, sometimes she's more hefty than other times. But people just like to say, "Oh, she's fat. This cat is fat." And I don't even. She's on a diet. I feed her what the vet says to feed the cat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. Then at that point, it's like she just has a different metabolism. You need to lay off. Just let her live her life. You know.
Exactly.
No one's been able to be out in the world getting their exercise like they normally would. So just lay off. It's COVID. You know.
Yeah.
Everyone's gaining appearance during COVID. It's not a big deal.
Oh, tell me about it.
Just lay off.
I know. I broke my ankle and friggin' right in the middle of the summer of COVID there, and so I gained extra weight. I gained extra weight as opposed to like I'm super chubby now. So I even know about the fat shaming. I'm starting to get really sensitive to people fat shaming Misty because I'm like I know what she's feeling.
Yeah, it also just kind of seems like it's not like the most hilarious like original thought to be like your pet's fat. You're like okay, like I feel like people think that they're the first one to say that to like a fat cat. They're like oh like your cat's fat, and you're like literally everyone says that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, she's also a movie star apparently. That's what some people call her. So not everyone goes on the weight tip, but I don't know. I guess on that note,
as long as she can fit into the DISHPIT shirt, she's fine.
Oh yeah,
know?
definitely. She's a rock star too. She loves it. Like I always You gotta watch 20 Scene Tube. I got her in another sort of like skit there with some Dish Pit music going on and stuff. She always likes when I play that stuff. I'm telling you. But yeah, rock stars, movie stars. You know what I'm saying? 20 Scene Tube, 20scene.com. Check it out. You know this is the,
Coding.com.
yeah.